Y'all, getting set up like I always do. Make sure my audio sounds good. Sounds okay. Lighting's fine. Man, I haven't had a stream in a couple weeks. I'm definitely scruffier than the last time you saw me. Hey y'all, I'm Lewis at Money Positive. I'm coming to you from our office in Austin, Texas, which is a artist space, and you might hear all the construction happening behind us. They're building a new sound booth. Oh, and the train's going by. But I go live to talk about financial planning issues, budgeting issues, things that people are facing in their real lives, and trying to share a little knowledge that might help someone. And today, I'm talking about a big one that people come to us a lot with when they first meet us. Like, how much do you need to have for retirement? There's a lot, and I'm going to preface that this is a little bit of a clickbait. I'm not going to give you a straight answer because I sort of hate that question. The There's a lot of like posts and articles and stuff written by people who aren't working with clients in the real world, or who are only working with well-off people. So there's a lot of content on TikTok and Instagram and YouTube about, like, by the time you're 35, you should have 200% of income for every year you've worked, and if not, you're falling behind and you're going to be a husk of a person in the gutter someday, and you're bad. And I just don't buy into that way of thinking of, like, you need to have a certain amount by this age. Of course, there are statistics that people are citing, and there's reasons for these numbers, but I just don't think, like, I've been planning for people for 8 years. I've worked with hundreds of people, and that's just not how it works, and that's just not how life works. Maybe when maybe it used to work that way. I don't know. I didn't live that. I didn't live before I lived. Um, but if you got married at 20, had double income, bought a house for nothing, and were able to set aside a big chunk of your um, income into investments your entire working life, maybe that's a way to think about it. But that's just not how life works. Especially lately, things have gotten more expensive. Housing's gotten expensive. Healthcare's gotten expensive. Childcare's gotten expensive. Um, Cost of food, just cost of living has gone way up, and wages have not kept up with it. So this doesn't solve that problem, but asking people to have a certain number by a certain age doesn't do anyone any good. That is not how I plan for people. That's not how we at Money Positive plan for people. You, of course, always should be saving something if you can, but you can't always. One of the most important things is saving consistently, and I'll come back to that in a moment. Um, but the way I always put it to people, to clients, to anyone who comes to me with that, like, what should I have by this age? Um, the real answer is you do the best you can, because you literally cannot do better than that. Like, expecting someone to have set aside 20% of their income into a stock portfolio their entire working life, when they graduated into a recession, had to move to an expensive city to take an entry level job, and they were, using credit cards just to make ends meet, asking them to do that and solidly fund a 401k is unrealistic. When someone's having, in the course of planning, if someone's having a child or buying a house, we might, slow down up to pausing their investments because they just have to be all in, like, because that is the only way in contemporary times for people to save up for a house. To a lot of times when someone has a kid, this is kind of an unspoken thing that you might be living off savings or at best breaking even for the first couple of years of your kid's life just because of the costs of childcare. Um, so asking someone to, have an infant and put 20% of their income into a 401k is often unrealistic. We have things come up in our lives. Obviously, we don't want to be frivolous, but most of these things are out of our control or are otherwise investments in our future. Like moving to a more expensive city might be the best thing for your long term prospects, but it might be expensive up front. Buying a house is going to be expensive up front, but there's a lot of benefits to home ownership. I don't think I need to justify people having children, so I'm not even going to do that as a financial conversation. But I just really, really um, find it distasteful, the whole you need to have $1 million by this date and you have $2 million by this date, um, because it's just not how things work. We do the best we can. We save when we're able to. Um, of course, the best thing to do is save as early as possible. So if you're in a position to do that, great. Do it. When I get clients who are in their early 20s, I often prioritize it just because they'll be doing themselves such a big favor. But people coming to us in their 40s and 50s, yeah, there might be some making up some ground, but you do the best you can. You lived your life the way you wanted, the way you chose, or the way the cards were dealt, and you're just gonna make the best of it. And it might require some creative thinking. It might require some changes in priorities, but people save when they're able to, and not everyone is able to. In fact, most people are not able to save at a certain percentage, at a certain rate, unless they just have a remarkably stable life. And if there's one thing I've learned, is that even people with normal lives with normal jobs and mortgages and stuff, like, there's always life events are always happening. There's always, a car wreck, someone losing their job, a career change. Like, there's always something. So, rolling with it and doing the best we can, saving when we're able, trying to build some stability into our life, but knowing that putting money aside isn't always the top priority. It's not always the best investment. Sometimes we need to invest in our health, sometimes into our wellness, into our families, into our businesses. There's only so much money to go around, and we, trust that you've done the best that you can with what you know, and with a little bit of help, with a little planning, you can optimize and reorganize things, but you can't do any better than the best you can do. So giving yourself an artificial number, especially when retirement is far away, the variations in stock market conditions, housing conditions, where your family is by then. There's so many unpredictable factors that pinning a number isn't going to help. Like, the best thing you can do, like I alluded to earlier, is save consistently. If you have a 401k match, at least get the match, because that's free money. If you don't have a 401k, put something into a Roth IRA. I often have people doing even, $10, $20, just so that you have that consistent habit and have something going in, and getting used to money going towards investments. But it's not always going to be the top priority. And when you get to retirement age, again, you do the best you can do. You see what resources you have, what you want out of life, what you want out of your retirement years, and you do the best you can because you literally can't do any better than that. So give yourself some grace. I'm not even crazy about the term catching up, because we're not catching up. We're doing our best. So forget that I said that. There's just certain phrases that become common and just shortcuts for how we communicate. So start saying, that you're gonna do your best. It's literally the best that you can do, and we're here to help. There's you don't have to do it alone. Reach out, Lewis, Lewis at moneypositive.com, info at moneypositive.com. Go to Money Positive. I'm down to talk to anyone. I'll give anyone a half hour, and if you need or want ongoing help, I can help you figure out what the best situation for you is right now and try to help you get set up for the long term. But don't fall for the clickbait. There's a reason people do it. Because it makes you afraid, and it gets you to click, and then they get a little bit of advertising revenue. But it's not based in reality, and we need to plan based on reality. Thanks. Stay money positive.